I think it's possible for us to live all day long with high levels of energy. In fact, energy maintenance is a critical factor in personal success and should be at the top of your list of priorities for personal development. I joined health coach Sam Griffiths and we talked all about the factors that affect maintaining energy throughout the day. Here are our best tips.
So, energy is perhaps the most important currency for business owners to protect and to maintain. And it's because energy is created in a number of ways by getting our needs met, by being in spaces that are conducive to our wiring, our personality. I know you want to talk a bit about personality, and the way that we think, the optimal spaces, and being away from task, away from, performance isn't actually optimal. We need, basic human need is we need to contribute. We need significance. Yes, we need love and connection, but we need growth. We stagnate, and that actually doesn't produce energy. So I suppose my main takeaway, if we are, somebody listening to this, they are concerned about the fluctuations in their energy. It's not about whether your body can produce the energy. It can, and it does. It's about not having blocks in the flow of energy, both physiologically and then neurobiologically, so that it can get, that the channels can get put into all the places that you want it to, so it aligns with your purpose and your deepest sense of this is what I'm about, this is what I want to do.
So from a practical point of view, the first principle around energy is transference, right? And it's actually a cycle. So it doesn't start or stop. It just goes up and down. And what I find in client work with people is one of the first steps that I work on with them is looking at the structure of their week and then proactively looking at where they have time or don't have time for health and well-being. In terms of someone like a business owner, you're looking at the nature of their work, how that is made up in their week, their weekly template, when they're having meetings, when they go to networking events, when they're doing client work, and whether or not they do actually have a structure to that. And a lot of people I come across don't even have that structure. That also plays into whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. So for someone like myself, I'm very introverted. So when I do public speaking, when I do something like a video call with Naomi, or when I go to a networking event, I will plan in buffer time after that, whether it's half an hour or 2 hours, where I then won't be client or people facing. I might still be working, doing emails and other things, but I just need that headspace. And that's been one of the biggest keys to me, going to those kinds of events, networking, public speaking, to have that buffer time afterwards.
Yeah, because it's like time is a little bit of a too rudimentary a measure. You can clock your hours and say, oh, I spent so many hours answering my emails, I spent so many hours, in meetings with my kids, whatever. But it doesn't give you any data on the quality of those hours. And I think when we start to talk about energy, and you can grade, you can just create for yourself a simple grading, like 10 is optimal energy, as in I am flying, I feel totally like it does itself, it runs itself because it is so good energetically. Right down to 0 is I am tanking, I just feel awful, I can't, everything is hard work. And start to get, finesse that a little bit of what is the quality of the time you're spending energetically and what makes the difference. So, in a meeting, I'm feeling like this is really hard work. Well, what is that? Is it the meeting agenda? Is it the people you're with? Is it your role in that meeting? Is it that, you know, the lighting's poor. Do you know, it could be so many factors. And that comes down to knowing self, doesn't it? It comes down to how well I understand my mind, my body, my personality, as to how many levers I've got to change, to optimize that flow. It's like if you imagine you had a channel, you're talking about an energy transference. What's the circumference of the channel through which the energy can flow? And I think one job as human beings, let alone as business leaders, is to keep that channel really wide. And if answering emails gets you really a small channel because you just don't like it, it's hard work for you, then stop answering emails, make phone calls or whatever. I don't know.
So I think the first thing that someone can do watching this video is gather some data. So 2 weeks, every block of time that you have within your working day and the different kinds of work that you do, scale of 1 to 5. 5 is you have highest energy, 1 is your lowest energy, and spend 2 weeks giving yourself a number, each of those blocks each day, and then make a note of maybe what you were doing. Was it batching emails? Was it a meeting? Was it client work? And then you have 2 weeks worth of data to look back and give you some information.
And I think this takes time, because I think it is about noticing. We can come with some very fixed ideas, which have been created by our past experiences, but also created by other people around us. You know, and your schedule, your, energy channel isn't going to look like, Bob's or Lucy's or Graham's or whatever. It's going to look like yours. And so people with the confidence to really ask the questions, is this working for me? Why is this working for me or not working for me? And I think often it's about noticing when your energy is high and then replicating those conditions, because it isn't a logic game. Sometimes some things work and you think, well, why? For me, being out in nature, it just works. I can't tell you why. It's not a logic thing, but there is something about the open space that psychologically is really positive for me. I think it's conducive. I'm a big thinking person. I love to create. I love to, have wide open ideas in my head. And so somehow the wide open space is just conducive to that psychologically. And I just know, as soon as I get outside, energy, ideas, inspiration will come, and I'll come back feeling better. And so although there's this inertia of like, I've just got so much to do, on my A game, I always prioritize being outside in nature. Often at the start of the day, that really helps me go for a run. And I have a particular stretch of the run where it's just wide open fields, and I can feel my whole body like, I've just gone bigger on my channel. So it takes time, I think, to really know what those are, and repetition.
So the principle is energy transference. It's a cycle. It's trial and error. And this might be something that you come back to multiple times. I talk with clients and I say, be a good human and recycle your habits. Yeah. And that, sleep is one, for example. So, everyone knows that sleep is good for you, and there will be times where you need to focus on proving that. And then, over a few months, it drops off again. So you recycle and you now make that focus again. And this is the same thing with looking at your energy levels. So you might make a focus now for this month. You put some structures in place, and it's trial and error for 2 or 3 months. And then you repeat that process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. So helpful. So loads of tips for energy maintenance, managing your time, your schedule, your priorities, but also your hardwiring, so that you can achieve optimum energy all day, every day.